How does one remove a load-bearing wall without collapsing the entire house? Removing a load-bearing wall in your house can be a great way to create an open concept space, but it can also be a daunting task. It's important to proceed with caution and take the necessary steps to prevent the collapse of your house. Here are some tips on how to remove a load-bearing wall without collapsing the entire house. Understand load-bearing walls. The first step in removing a load-bearing wall is to understand what it is and what it does. Load-bearing walls are walls that support the weight of the structure above them. If you remove a load-bearing wall without properly redistributing the weight, the structure can collapse. It's essential to understand which walls in your house are load-bearing before you begin any demolition. Consult with a structural engineer. Consulting with a structural engineer is a crucial step in removing a load-bearing wall safely. A structural engineer can evaluate the wall and provide you with a plan for removing it without compromising the structural integrity of your house. They can also provide you with a design for redistributing the weight of the structure after the wall is removed. Install temporary support. Before you start removing the load-bearing wall, you need to install temporary support to hold up the structure. This temporary support can be in the form of a beam or posts that are strong enough to hold the weight of the structure. It's essential to install the temporary support correctly to prevent any accidents or damage to the structure. Remove the wall in sections. Once you have installed the temporary support, you can begin removing the load-bearing wall. It's essential to remove the wall in sections rather than all at once. Removing the wall in sections will help distribute the weight of the structure evenly, reducing the risk of collapse. Use proper tools and techniques. When removing a load-bearing wall, it's essential to use proper tools and techniques. Use a reciprocating saw to cut through the drywall and studs, and be sure to wear eye protection and a mask to protect yourself from dust and debris. Avoid using a sledgehammer or other heavy tools, as they can cause the structure to shift and collapse. Install a beam or column. After the load-bearing wall is removed, you need to install a beam or column to support the weight of the structure. The size and type of beam or column you need will depend on the weight and span of the structure. It's essential to install the beam or column correctly to prevent any accidents or damage to the structure. Reinforce the structure. After the load-bearing wall is removed and the beam or column is installed, it's essential to reinforce the structure to ensure its stability. This can be done by adding additional supports or strengthening existing ones. It's crucial to reinforce the structure correctly to prevent any accidents or damage to the structure. Conclusion. Removing a load-bearing wall can be a great way to create an open concept space in your house, but it's important to do it safely. Understanding load-bearing walls, consulting with a structural engineer, installing temporary support, removing the wall in sections, using proper tools and techniques, installing a beam or column, and reinforcing the structure are all important steps to take to ensure that the structure of your house remains intact. By following these tips, you can remove a load-bearing wall without collapsing the entire house.